Outrage, anger, amazement. Those three words pretty much sum up the general reaction to today's grand jury ruling from the Beavercreek Walmart shooting.
And for the first time, we're getting to see the surveillance video from that night that John Crawford III was killed. We've been updating this story for you both on air and online. And if you're just joining us, let's get you up to speed on where we stand right now. The grand jury has refused to indict the officer who shot Crawford back in August. The jury heard from 18 witnesses over 2 days. 7 of the 9 jurors had to vote yes for an indictment, and that did not happen. They ruled the officer was justified. And late this afternoon, we learned the U.S. Justice Department will review the case.
We have team coverage for you tonight. Evan Millward is live downtown, where 2 Hamilton County special prosecutors just gave a briefing. But we start with Tom McKee. He is in Beavercreek tonight, digging into what officers were doing weeks before the shooting that just might have had an impact in today's ruling. Tom.
Well, confronting an officer with a gun, with a rifle especially, is dangerous for police anytime. But it was especially so when a Beavercreek police officer met John Crawford III here at this Walmart. But his training kicked in because of something he'd had a few weeks ago, a refresher course. Wednesday was the first time we saw video inside the Walmart as John Crawford III picks up a pellet rifle as he walks through the store. Minutes later, he's shot twice by a Beavercreek police officer as he refuses commands to put down the weapon. The grand jury determined the officer was justified in what he did.
And their split-second decisions in confronting these type of situations are not a crime unless, based on all the circumstances, a jury believes that they were unreasonable in what they perceived that day and the way they reacted to it.
Officers responding to the 911 call were well aware of how to handle the situation.
Ironically enough, less than 2 weeks before this, the Beavercreek Police Department was given training on how to deal with an active shooter situation. An active shooter situation is one where you have someone who has actually shot at people or is threatening to do so.
And what about the rifle Crawford was carrying?
One of these is a real gun. One of these is the gun Mr. Crawford was carrying that day. As you can see, it's very hard to tell the difference, especially if you're 100 feet away, whatever away.
But all that didn't sway the Dayton NAACP view that the shooting was not proper.
There's no way that we can conceivably understand that this family, that the officers in no way acted justly in this cause.
Now, the Crawford family plans to comment tomorrow during a news conference. Now, those special prosecutors in this case were Mark Piepmeyer and Stacy DeGraffenried of Hamilton County. They met reporters in Cincinnati just a few minutes ago. My colleague Evan Miller was there. Evan?
And Tom, those prosecutors just getting back here to Hamilton County in the last hour and a half or so. They're telling us tonight their involvement with this case is over. Prosecutor Piepmeyer actually saying, though, that he stands behind the grand jury's decision, though he could have seen it going the other way, too. Now, this might surprise you. He says it wasn't this, the Walmart store surveillance video that was so controversial all along this process, that was the key to the case. He says that was actually the 911 call and what Tom was telling you about the officer's belief that people were in trouble. I asked if there are any lessons to be learned from this whole thing back here in Hamilton County. Piepmeyer's prosecuted several police shooting cases here. He says none of them, though, have been like this one.
Some counties present every police shooting to a grand jury. We don't, because if it's an obvious, clear-cut self-defense, we just don't do that in Hamilton County. But this is one that, even had it occurred here, I think it would have been appropriate to present to a grand jury and let them make the decision. Because he was unarmed and he wasn't doing anything wrong. Police officers did not know either one of those facts.
And Piepmeyer went on to say if someone wants to scrutinize anything about this case, it may be worth a look at that police training Tom was talking about. We are live downtown tonight. Evan Millward, 9 on your side.